We're back.
We are back, everyone. And now we are a family of 4 plus a dog.
Yes, I was going to say, don't leave Lucy out.
Don't leave Lucy out. And how's Mama feeling?
I'm feeling good. 10 weeks postpartum today, turning corners. And then, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I understand it's all a process and it's all temporary, right?
But hard, right?
This is not permanent. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's hard.
Like,
And it's hard in a different way,
yeah.
right?
So I guess where should we start? Should we start like how are you feeling now versus Scotland?
Well, it's different. It's just a different experience. And I think that's one thing I'm like taking from this experience is how one person can have 2 unique postpartum and pregnancy experiences. So I think when it comes to, I always then tie it back to like how people judge as well. And people, I think, say, oh, well, I had an easy pregnancy, so why is she complaining? Or I had a hard one. How is she doing so well? Well, because they're all unique experiences. Even one person can have multiple different experiences. So how to answer your question in a very long way, physically, I feel so much better this time around. Emotionally, it's still hard and maybe even harder because with a newborn, they don't need you as much in the emotional sense of like your presence, your engagement. They do. They need you physically and they need you to be mentally okay. But like a toddler needs you in such a different way physically to keep up, which was so hard in the first few weeks because I just couldn't keep up. And mentally.
Yeah, they're just a leech. I mean, the newborn's a leech, and then you got the toddler who's like, come run with me. And you're like, I can't. I've got this baby.
Yeah. Or I can't because I just gave birth and it's physically impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I think from my outside like observation, I was more prepared to know that physically you had more to recover from. It's hard to reflect back, but I feel like I wasn't as aware. I mean, I don't know. I was.
We just didn't know what to expect.
I think I was aware. I think both of us didn't know. Like the idea of you taking a walk, I don't know, 5 days postpartum was like too much for you. And I didn't know what to expect. So I was kind of playing off how you were feeling. And so I kind of thought like, yeah, you gave birth, like it's been 5 days, like we're taking a little walk. It was not a long walk. And that was kind of shocking. You were like, that was way too much. Like I'm in a lot of pain. And I was like, okay, this is serious. So this second birth, I was like, not that I was ever pushing you, but I was just more prepared to be like, she's going to need, she can't do anything. Like I need to be here, especially with a toddler. Like, you just have a lot more to handle. But like, should we talk about the birth a little bit? I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was I don't know.
It was a lot of fun.
It was memorable.
It was memorable. I'll say that.
It was fast.
It was fast. I've heard it was going to be faster, but I just had no expectations going into this because I know every baby and every body's different and who knows what this will bring. I mean, I was almost 2 weeks late with Scotland and I was a few days early with Summit. Mm-hmm. So
let's talk about the labor. I mean, how'd it go? How was it?
I mean, I put Scotland down to go to sleep and then I started getting ready for bed and I started having contractions. And I actually think I was having contractions earlier that night, but the first time around, you're like, oh, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And the second time around, I'm focused on my toddler and I know that the baby will come when he comes. So my main focus is the baby that's outside.
I mean, same way. I can remember for a month, 6 weeks leading up to before she was born, like it was like every night, like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And this time it was just like, get sleep. And when it happens, it's going to go down.
I actually, a week before I went into labor, do you remember? I was like, I think I'm going into labor. And I was 10 days earlier or so. And we were like, we're not prepared. We thought I was going to go late. I'm not packed. Right. Yeah. I'm not any of the things the contractions stopped. And that was also before our daughter's birthday. The kids were born 5 days apart, just FYI.
That was a a warning shot across the bow. And I do remember that because both of us were like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, he could come anytime. Like, we should really pack our bags at this point.
Yeah. So I think I went into the room. You maybe were doing work. I'm not sure. And
I put Scotland down and I came in and you were like,
I thought I put Scotland down that night.
I don't know.
I put Scotland down. And then I came in and I was like, hey, I think I'm having contractions. I'm going to go lay down thinking it's going to take a while, try to get some sleep, and just FYI. And then when you came to bed.
Well, yeah, because you told me you're having contractions. So I was like, all right, we'll probably go in the morning. So I packed up, but I made sure everything was ready. So I got our bags like in the car, got everything like ready to go so we could walk out the door. And then I laid down next to you, and like literally just as I closed my eyes, I hear you have a contraction that was very intense. And then I sat up and I was like, I think it's time we call the doctor. And you're like, yep. And then it started. So it was like the worst, the worst timing of labor. You're hoping that you could if it was ideal, it'd be like, wake up in the morning, contractions start, have the baby in the afternoon, you get some sleep. Ours was the worst. Like, you're getting ready to go to bed and you start having contractions. You don't get any sleep. So you're up that whole night.
Mm-hmm. And then forever after that.
And then forever for a while. Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah. And then, so we get to the hospital, they get you in, and I was much more chill, I guess, because I knew it was going to take a while. Like, obviously excited, but like, okay, it's going to happen. But I kept thinking like, oh, it's not going to happen for like 12 hours. And he was ready to come.
Yeah. I mean, I know that my doctor said the only reason why you wouldn't get the epidural is if your your parents or whoever's coming over to watch your toddler doesn't get there on time. So we called her. My mom came over very quickly. And then when we got to the hospital, I made sure to tell the nurse, I want an epidural. Like, as soon as I got there, because I knew that the second baby's supposed to come faster, I want the epidural, like, make sure you can get that on the queue. And it took so long to get the epidural.
I felt so bad. You were like, just, because you knew you wanted it. So you're like, stop this. Like, you can stop this. As soon as the anesthesiologist comes in, it'll stop. And you were handling it like a champ.
Thank you.
And even, so it took them like 3 or 4 hours. There was like, something going on. We don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Something more important, more pressing was going on. And when they finally came in, were you 5 or 6 centimeters?
Yes.
And the nurse, like,
she was like, you could keep going.
You could just keep going. She's like, you were handling it really well, which I mean, she's seen a lot of labors, and to give you that compliment means like you were handling it like a champ.
Thank you.
I think from the outside you were. On the inside, you were probably like, make this stop.
Well, I think, it goes back to expectations of anything. Like, my expectation was that I wasn't going to be in this level of pain.
It's like going to a birthday party and being like, I want that birthday cake. And then they're like, we're not giving you birthday cake. And you're like, well, this party sucks. And then you're like, I want that epidural. And they're like,
except for like life or death.
Yeah. And they're like, we're not giving you the epidural. And you're like, this place?
Scott really loves cake, by the way. But I mean, looking back, I'm like, oh, should I have? And no, I had a great experience. I had a healthy experience. The baby was born. Everybody was healthy. But I did end up getting the epidural. And I was 10 centimeters in less than an hour after that. And then again, we thought, oh, we're going to take a nap after the epidural.
I was like laying down, and the nurse, I mean, because he was like, his heartbeat, like they couldn't continue to.
He kept moving.
They couldn't keep the heartbeat. So she was on, like she was working.
Yeah, she was on me the whole time trying to keep his heartbeat on the monitor.
Yeah, so she was working she basically like on top of you on the bed the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sleep, so I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to be like 6-7 hours. And then they're like, are you ready to push? And I hear that, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, I was not ready.
I wasn't mentally ready.
I kind of caught me off guard, the second one. Like, when she came, I was like talking up a storm. Like, I just know, I don't know, I was much more excited and prepared because it took so long.
It took 38 hours.
Yeah.
The first time around. And this time was 8.
This time he came out and I was like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Like, and I hate to say that from like a dad. I know.
I was like, what?
I know. But I'm just saying, like,
every
it was just
mom
weird.
is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to give the dad's experience. Like, I also, and I told you this, like, even though it's the second baby, like I was like scared to hold him.
Oh.
And like the first one, I don't know, when she came out, I was like, I can't wait to hold her. This time I was like a little scared. I don't know. It was weird. And it took me a few hours before I was like, okay, like I don't know when I first held him, but I held him, but like it took like probably half a day or so before I got comfortable being like, oh yeah, let's pick him up again.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I actually, I know a little bit because allergies were going on. Like it was like April. And I had like the slightest sniffle, and then my brain starts to spiral, and I'm like, am I sick? What's going on? But I'm like, I haven't been around anyone. I don't have any like other symptoms, and it's like it's most likely allergies because it was like the worst springtime.
Okay.
So that was a bit of it, but also I just like had all these irrational fears of like I don't know. It's just like scared to pick up a baby, but then you pick him up and you're like holding him and burping him and taking care of him and wiping him and back to the old grind, the old groove. So
the old grind.
The old grind.
Yeah. I mean, he came in like 2.5 pushes, and it was just a much more enjoyable
And what song did he come out to?
AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
That was
Rock Baby.
Yeah, the nurses were loving that.
Yeah, they were like, I love your playlist. I had like some hip hop, I had some AC/DC, and Thunderstruck played right before I was like kind of about to push, I think. And then I was like, I need to hear that again. Like, that's the jam I need right now. And then he came.
He came out, and then like other music was playing, and the nurses were like, oh, I wish more people would do this.
They were like, it's usually whale sounds.
Yeah.
Like ocean breeze.
So,
but no, I had the Spotify playlist on point.
First thing we ate was sushi.
I was like, what was it? It was sushi.
Sushi.
Yeah.
And then we had I think a fun tip. So we packed, I think these were like cool things we learned from the first to second. We packed a cooler. We brought a nice bottle of champagne because we were going to celebrate. But we also brought like the champagne topper, the little plug thing so you can save it.
Yeah, because it's not like you're going to have the whole bottle.
Well, the first one, I drank like the whole bottle.
Yeah, and I was too scared to like have anything because I was breastfeeding.
And I remember like, well, I can't let it go to waste. Then all of a sudden I'm like, why do I feel so funny? And I was so exhausted, and I just drank like a whole bottle of champagne. So yeah, so that was a quick little tip. So we did that. I mean, we
packed plenty of cured meats and soft cheeses.
Yep.
As a celebration.
Yeah, snacks. I think that was the other thing. It's like we packed plenty of snacks.
So many. Yeah.
But it was
and
like
then the hospital, you could order food too, which was great.
It was like fun comfort snacks.
Yeah.
We just like because you're basically like hungover. I mean,
and there was a Vanderpump Rules marathon on Bravo that weekend, so that worked out.
So we sat in the hospital eating just like chips and cookies. At least I was eating that. Like, and then we'd order the hospital food and watch Bravo.
Yeah.
And then coming home, how fun was it? Like, I'll share how was your experience when they met?
Overwhelming and beautiful. I was like so overwhelmed with the love that was poured into the room from our daughter immediately, because we tried to make sure that like we weren't holding him when she came in. We wanted to make sure we paid attention to her, and she just like loved him from the moment they met.
Which we should say, she was not allowed to come to the hospital.
Yes, she was not allowed to come to the hospital. Hospital rule.
They met at
our house.
At our house.
Yeah.
And that was something people told me, like, just wait until they meet and interact. But I was so delirious from,
being awake
the past 2.5 days that I wasn't even like planning for it. And she immediately was like, I want to hold him. And we put the little pillow,
the little boppy pillow,
pillow, and she just like gave him a kiss and a hug on his head, and I lost it.
Yeah,
like,
you started crying.
Oh my God, I was like sobbing. I mean, because it was the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
And she probably held him for like 5 minutes, and immediately was like, okay, I'm done, moved on.
Yeah.
But it was like one of the sweetest things to see that, and she still does it.
Yeah,
she still wants to play with him.
She's very into him.
Yeah,
like I think what we learned over time is she just wants to help. She just wants to be involved. So it's like things might take longer when she is involved, but that's the point. And she needs to feel like she's a part of this experience, which is hard because toddlers are erratic and they move quickly, and they don't understand like how fragile that newborn is. So you have to protect, but at the same time involve. And so that's a whole other process to navigate.
Can you talk about like how, like her experience, like probably the hardest part of all of this, like navigating us not being here?
The division of attention.
No. I mean, when she woke up.
Oh, yeah, that was sad. Because I went into labor in the middle of the night, I had put her down for bed. And then when she woke up in the morning, mom and dad weren't here. And so that was really, really hard. And even though we had talked about it and we had purchased the Love Every books that talk about this exact scenario, like when I woke up in the morning, Poppy was here, whatever they say in the book. And my mom was here when she woke up. And so even though they have a really close relationship, mom and dad weren't here. And my understanding was that it was really tough for her those few days when we were in the hospital. We did talk on the phone. We talked on FaceTime. And it was just really tough. So when we came home then, she was waking up in the middle of the night, in addition to him waking up, obviously, all night. We just didn't plan for the toddler to be waking up all night. But looking back, I think it was like really the trauma of, in her little brain, of waking up and my parents weren't here. After my entire life, my 3 years on earth, every time I wake up, mom and dad come if I ask for them. And all of a sudden they didn't. And so that's, I mean, in her little brain, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, that was kind of a shock. Like I thought we had kind of prepared her with the books and stuff.
Yeah.
And I can remember saying something to her that night, like, oh, we'll see you in the morning or whatever. And I remember when I said it, I was kind of like, but what if we go into labor?
Yeah.
And we did. And I was like, oh God, like, and she, yeah, that, I feel like you can only prep a 3-year-old or a toddler, so much. And
Yeah.
some of it is just like, they just kind of have to go through it and you do what you can. And it's like, they'll get over it, but it is tough.
Right.
It's very tough for them. So I feel like that was one of the surprising, like hard things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another really hard thing was that she got sick. It was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks when he was 2 or 3 weeks old.
Now it's been long enough. High five.
What?
We kept them.
We kept them
separated.
Yeah. So we had to separate in single parent. And I think that was also then really hard on Scotland again, because she's like, why can't I be with mommy? And it's like, because mommy can't get the baby sick right now. Like the baby doesn't have the immunity. He's not as strong as you. So that was really, really tough to handle. She was sick for like a full week.
Yeah. Just a typical, we'll call it typical, like toddler cold. But, when you have a newborn, you don't know how they're going to handle that. So.
Right.
Yeah, but we did keep him.
We did it.
I think one thing that we've talked about is like one of the hard things that you run into, at least for the first month to 2 months, is like you're basically single parents. You're handling the newborn and I'm handling the toddler. And it's tricky for us to actually be a family because, depending on how the toddler's responding and acting, like might be wanting to, because basically every time what we see is like, I'll be hanging out with Scotland. Mom will walk in the room and she needs to either pump or feed. Like basically she needs to take care of the newborn. And right away, Scotland is just like, I want mom, and like does everything she can to get mom's attention. And it's just like, all right, let's get you out of the house. Let's go. And it's tough because then it's just me handling Scotland and Colette with the newborn. And it's hard for us to be a family, but it's temporary.
And I feel like it's starting to get better because in the beginning, he's feeding on demand all day long and I'm breastfeeding, combo feeding. I'm combo feeding this time. And that's really hard because he's on me and I can see her see that. And it's just, it's tough because mommy's always been mine and now I have to share her. And I'm not a psychologist, so I can only empathize with the whole experience. But now that he's like getting on somewhat of a schedule, I think it's a bit easier to be like, hey, or I can give him to you and be like, hey, you can take him. And I'm with Scotland and I like make a big deal over it. And so I think that's getting better.
Yeah. And what do you think about, what do you have to say about the combo feeding? Like talk about what that actually means. And people who are like, oh, I'm so nervous, I need to breastfeed. Like just.
Yeah. I think I brought that up and like how I'm feeding my child because there is so much chatter and judgment around this. And I've had it both ways. Why are you breastfeeding? You should be formula feeding. Why are you formula feeding? You should be breastfeeding, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has, is someone here?
She is.
Oh, hi.
Hi, sweetie. How you doing?
I was like, I thought I heard someone.
So talk about how you're combo feeding now.
Yes.
Or we're combo feeding, sorry. And how it was different from like Scotland, our first child.
Yeah, I bring up the combo feeding aspect of things because I think it's really important. You know, people have a lot of judgments over how women feed their babies. I don't know why. Having a baby brings up weird things in people. And I've had it both ways. Like, oh, why are you using formula when you should be doing breast? Or why are you doing breast when you should be doing formula? Here's the thing. However you feed your baby is best for your baby. However you choose. Because happy mama, happy baby. Calm mama, calm baby. That's what I'm thinking. And last time I was trying to be a hero. You know, my first time around, I breastfed for 13 months exclusively. And I went a little kooky at the end. It was just a lot to have like the pumps tied up to me constantly. And there's just no breathing room. And I think also like hormonally, it's just different. And this time around, I still wanted to breastfeed. It was still really important to me for nutrition wise and also bonding. I just really enjoyed it. But I didn't want to have this pressure of always having these pumps on me as well. So I thought, okay, how can I do this in a way that feels right for me? And that was combo feeding. So we use one bottle a day of formula. And we introduced that. And it's like, I maybe have the pumps hooked up to me once or twice a day and not all day. I'm not like, I don't have this fear. I think this is a big thing, a fear of, will I produce enough to feed my baby? The answer the first time was yes, but there was always this constant fear of like, well, if I don't pump this one time, my supply is going to decrease. It's all these like, I think they're natural thoughts, like survival thoughts to keep your child alive. But the constant cycle in your brain of being like, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like, you have enough on your plate. Like take one little thing off your plate.
Plus, it allows me to have a little bit more freedom to make decisions. And then versus like when you were just breastfeeding, you would pump and there'd be milk and there'd be frozen stuff. And, you know, you have some plans of like, oh, I need to manage this. And it was difficult because can I use this milk? Can I not? Like, I think she's hungry.
You're not in my head.
And, it's whereas like with him, also there's not as much stress. If you give him a bottle and he doesn't eat all the formula, you don't really panic as much.
Right.
So if it's in the morning, and some days there's still some breast milk pumped that's fresh, I'll use that. Some days it's just the formula, but it's nice that I can just, hey, we need to stuff this kid.
Yeah.
Fill him up, give him some formula. Oh, there's an ounce and a half left over. That's all right, not a big deal. Right. Whereas like when it's breast milk, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I don't want to dump this. Like,
don't want to waste it.
Gold.
Yeah. So I found like a super clean, organic formula.
Bobby, yeah.
Yes, Bobby. And I've been loving it. Okay, so we're taking our first trip this weekend, our first flight with baby and toddler. Really trying to still pack a carry-on, by the way.
but we have the formula, which makes it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to pack my Bobby formula, and it's just a lot less stress and anxiety of like, am I going to be able to pump when I'm out or feed him when I'm out, or will I produce enough milk? That's all gone. I'm just like, if I need to, I have this formula. I'm still bringing my pump just in case, but I have the formula.
Yeah.
Baby's fed, baby's happy, mommy's happy.
What would you say to someone either about to have their second child or their first child after now that you've had 2 kids?
I don't know. I really don't know. Second child, I feel like I don't need to say anything. People have been through the experience just to have that open mind and maybe for the second child to have the baby give your toddler or however old your other child is a gift to like bring them into the world. Yeah. That was a welcoming in. The first child, just don't have too many expectations. Don't have like a strict birth plan, but birth options. And because you have to play out all scenarios, like you might want X, but Y might happen, and give yourself grace if Y does happen and X doesn't. I think the second time around, I've given myself a lot more grace. Yeah. I just realized like you have no control, or control the things you can, but I'm a control freak and I really have minimal control right now. What about you? What advice would you give?
I align with that. Like the first one, relax a little bit. I know you almost have to go through it to see it, but it's like they're going to cry a little bit, like the whimpers and stuff. Like babies cry. It's okay. It's their way of communicating. Whereas we knew that, but like when we first had her, we were like on so guard, like just everything had to be perfect. Like she had to be happy at all times. And it's like, not that we're just neglecting him. It's like, he's going to make noise. He's making noise. It's no big deal. They're loud when they sleep. Oh my God, they're so loud.
Yeah, sleep when the baby sleeps, except when the baby's like,
yeah,
the whole night. And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I don't remember that as much with her.
I think the other thing is in today's world of like social media and people do these cute things with a kid 1 or kid 2 or have amazing jungle gyms and whatnot. Like I heard a phrase the other day is like, kids want your time, not your dime. And it's like, don't forget that. Like, yes, there's all these beautiful things that people have created, be it montages of them growing up or amazing, playrooms. That's cool. Appreciate it. Maybe get inspired to do something with yours, but like, don't stress out about it. Like, just realize like kids just love to play with you. Mm-hmm. And I think like, I love it when sometimes I'll just get into this like flow with Scotland, just like playing. And it's like, you got to let yourself do it. Put your phone down, all the digital distractions, and just play. And it's fun.
I would say also, include the toddler or include the other child. Like have them grab a diaper. They don't have to change the diaper. Grab the diaper. Have them pick out the outfits. Have the those are the things that we do. But it's hard because it adds on to the time and all of that. But that's what it's all about. You're the family now. It's not one child and the other child.
What's the hardest part about now having 2 kids?
Not having that time off. Like, with one kid, you can kind of like tag team and be like, okay, now I have an hour or whatever you and your spouse decide on. That doesn't exist anymore. So it's just, at least you're tag teaming, but you're tag teaming 2 different people. So like you're always on. Yeah. I think that's really hard. The noise is hard for me right now. I think that might be a hormonal thing.
No, it bothers me too. It's also, we have a toddler who's loud, like just they've hit that loud toddler phase where you're like, stop yelling.
By the time the dog barks, I'm like,
I mean, one tip I have said multiple times is like noise canceling headphones, for that when that toddler loses their mind and there's nothing you can do and they're just screaming and you're like, you need to put your pajamas on. We need to brush your teeth. And she's just, there's no negotiating. There's just screaming. And you're like, okay, put in noise canceling headphones and let's try to navigate this the best we can.
How do you think it's going to be when we're on our first trip this weekend and we're all sharing a hotel room?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be exhausting. I mean, just go with it. Like, get sleep when you can. As soon as she's down, like, well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Because now it's like, I stay up a little bit later. I give him his last little bottle, and then I sleep, and then you get up. Like,
it might work out, but then there's a time change too. So we'll report back. It might go terribly. Who knows?
She also is like, when she's in the same room with us,
she's gonna be pumped.
She's pumped. She's excited. I don't know. We'll see. We'll be okay. We'll survive, I think.
We have his passport too. We have a big international trip in like 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fun. It's been crazy. Having 2 has been an absolute blast. Like what's been interesting to me is the fact that like early on, like I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him because he's so latched onto you and I'm so taking care of Scotland. It's like, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. Mm-hmm. Or it's just like middle of the night, take care of him, feed him, whatever, and then go back to bed and then get up with the toddler and take care of her all day or, get her ready for the day and whatnot. So,
yeah, I would say, I just thought of something for the first time parents, everything is a phase. Everything is temporary. So know that when you're crying because your baby's waking up 4 times in the night, that won't last forever. It will be temporary and it will be hard and it'll pass. I know it doesn't feel like that. And I feel like I'm giving myself advice right now too.
I was going to say, I feel like this is for yourself.
And also that's with like physical stuff. Like you might be rocked postpartum. Like I know I was the first time around. Like it was hard to go for a walk, as Scott said. And I'm a very physically fit person. The second time around, I was like, I'm not going for any walks for 2 weeks. So I didn't do anything for 2 full weeks. Like I wanted to be as horizontal as possible. And I know my labor and delivery was much different this time around, but I think overall I know that like it's okay to not recover quickly. It's going to take time. It's all temporary. If you do it with intention, then you'll have the intensity later. Like intention now, intensity later is what my friend Brianna Battle says. And when you're going through the first time, you're just like, I don't get it. Like I want to push. I want to be able to do push-ups again. I want to be able to do this again. All in due time, it does come back. But the slower you go in the beginning, I feel like the faster you can go later.
That's cool. Yeah. What things do you, like physical things, do you see that have like helped us through this time?
Physical things.
Like I can think of a few things. The pee pads. The pee pads on the changing station. Okay,
so we have throwaway like doggy pee pads that we put on the changing station so that we don't have to clean the cover every time.
The super slow flow nipples for the bottles, which are from, who's that from?
Actually, Pigeon.
Pigeon.
We use Lancino bottles, but Pigeon nipples.
Those have helped because it just works with our baby. He doesn't choke and make a mess. It's just easier. It's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the little like nightlight, the little battery powered $25 Amazon nightlight, because there's times you're moving him around, you want to feed him and you just don't want to turn on the lights. So, but I think that's about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but my mom brain, I see that baby's waking up and he needs me. And then my mom brain goes, I can't think of anything else. Okay. You must get baby.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up. I mean, and then on to maybe the next thing is our trip.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Traveling with 2.
All right.
I'm pumped.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
Yes. I love you.
Teammates love you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're learning from and or enjoying this podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. These are great free ways to support this podcast. Also, please subscribe to this podcast on both Spotify and Apple. On both of those platforms, you can leave us up to a 5-star review, which would help us out greatly. Please also check out the sponsors mentioned in today's episode. That's the best way to support this show. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please put those in the comment sections in YouTube. And yes, we do read all the comments.